The most amazing AI coding assistant just got better. I'm very excited to share with you guys a new update that was released by the Cline team, recently known as Claude Dev. This video is going to be short and I'm just going to share with you a few updates that are very significant, and I think that they were requested very often by the Cline users and community on Discord. I will show you the 3 new features and then I will demonstrate the most important one at the end. I will show you how it works. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I'm sure that you will enjoy it. Obviously, if you haven't downloaded Cline yet, I definitely recommend going to the Visual Studio Code Marketplace and downloading it. Let me show you how you do it in case that you don't know. So you come here, extensions, look up Cline. This is the one. And you just install it. In case that you have it already, you need to make sure that you update it and restart. Now, before moving forward, guys, just making sure that if you're interested in AI automations, AI coding assistants, and anything related to AI agents, make sure to subscribe to the channel. So the new features are as follows. First of all, in order to mitigate the amount of comments that say rest of code remains here when you update and edit a file, Saud, the founder of Cline, introduced a new feature, kind of an adjustment to making changes. You can see everything in the code. Since Cline is an open source project, you can see exactly what he adjusted in terms of the instructions to Cline, and this is supposed to mitigate the amount of rest of the code remains here. You can read more about it here. Here are some of the rules. So search content must watch the associated file section to find exactly the match character for character, including white spaces. So there are just a few. I'm not going to go over it because I want to keep the video short. But this is very significant. Let's see if it really mitigates significantly the amount of rest of code remains here. So this is the first update. The second one is the ability to add custom instructions specifically for a project. So far, if you've used Corsair or Windsurf, you know that you had the ability, which are a very popular AI coding assistants, you know that you had the ability to add Corsair rules files, which basically created custom instructions specific for the project. So naming conventions for files, the tech stack, documentation related to the project, etc. You could have done this in Cline here in the custom instructions, but this wasn't project specific. So you had to adjust the custom instructions every time you worked in Cline based on the project. So as you can see here, I usually left it pretty generic. I'm using Windows. Don't use the double ampersands because when running in command line, this throws an error. So this was just my initial custom instructions. And whenever I wanted to have like specific instructions that were project specific, I would just add it to the system prompt at the beginning of the file. Now, you can see what was the update in the code here. Basically, you can add Cline rules files in the root of the folder. And these Cline rules are going to be added to the custom instructions in every iterations. As you can see here, this is the system prompt, and you can see this is the Cline rule, and this is the custom instructions. So the Cline rule are just being added to the custom instructions. Basically, how do you do it? You just add Cline rules file at the root of the folder. And the last but most significant update is coding on autopilot. Basically, what you can do now from now on in Cline, let's open this. You can come here and you can auto approve different actions. So basically, auto approve allows Cline to perform the following actions without asking for permission. Obviously, you have to use this with caution and only enable this if you understand the risks. So you can enable automated read files and directories. Instead of approving every iteration, you can just read files and directories. You can edit files automatically on autopilot. It can execute safe commands. it can use the browser, and it can use MCP servers, which MCP servers, if you don't know, is a new addition, a new ability that was introduced to Cline approximately a week ago. And another cool feature is that you can add a maximum amount of API requests. So let's say you want Cline to roam freely, but you want to restrict it to only 10 API calls because you don't want it to just enter an endless loop and exhaust your balance. So you can define, I want Cline to do only 20 iterations, 20 API calls, API requests, and then ask for approval to proceed. And obviously there is like an ability to enable notifications whenever Cline requires approval. So let me show you how it looks real time. So I created a project and I allowed the auto approve. So there are some instances in which the model determines that this command requires explicit approval. In these cases, you need to approve it manually. In other instances, it can just start making the API request automatically. Here, I defined a maximum of 2 API requests because I wanted to see what happens. So this is the notification that I got. Cline has auto-approved 2 API requests. Would you like to reset the count and proceed with the task? So I said, sure. So it kept on going. Then it prompted me again for my approval because it determined that it needs explicit approval. And then it started generating the project as I requested. And eventually it gave me the final output of the project, which was very cool, as you can see here. So it's still not 100% autopilot, which is great because it's a coding assistant. It's not supposed to do all the work for you, especially if it's not a safe environment. So this really does speed up the process. It can make a lot of stuff on its own, especially if you auto-approve all of these and also choose a very high number of MAC requests, which I'm not sure is the right thing to do because there are risks involved and you should take that into account. But in general, it's way more fun to just see Cline doing stuff in the background while you can keep on researching, keep on adjusting stuff in your workflow. And Cline just does like most of the stuff that it required an approval before, it can do on autopilot, which is great. I think we covered everything that I wanted to cover. Let's start concluding. So if you're not using Cline, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's free. You only need to pay for the API requests. You can connect Cloud Sonnet or OpenRouter or OpenAI. The Cline team just added 3 very significant features. The first feature is supposed to mitigate the amount of rest of code remains here. The second feature is, as I showed you guys before, is the ability to add specific rules for a specific folder. And the third feature is the coding, quote unquote, on autopilot. They are all 3 of them are very significant. I'm obviously going to explore them and see the performance, and I will keep you posted. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any criticism or ideas, leave them in the comment section. And until next time, keep on automating.